Hello, welcome back to Viking times. The Vikings were from the Nordic countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden. The Swedes went east. They went to what is now Russia, and they used the rivers, and that is where we meet up with the story about Rurik, who was a Viking. In Swedish, his name is actually Rurik. Rurik. Anyway, Rurik came down the river, the Volga River. He was, as I said, a Viking. He came with his men. And there was instability in that area. He reached Novgorod. And I don't know why people trusted him or whatever, but they asked him to help them defend themselves against all this instability, people coming in and robbing them and so on and so forth. And so he actually he is named as the beginning of what became Russia in 862. And this is what I have learned from my studies of the wonderful videos about the history of Russia from Rurik and up till today. And it's very interesting because it is actually Vladimir Medensky, the historian, who has made this videos. And he is talking, of course, about the Russian history, but he's also talking about what happens in the whole of Europe at the same time, so that I is learning things about European history that I didn't know. I didn't know that the king of Sweden was sort of the king of the Baltics. And when I was following his videos about Peter the Great and how Peter, who really was a great person, how he was fighting the Swedish king and won after, 21 years. He kept on and kept on, attrition. In the end, there was nothing left of the Swedish king. And he got his St. Petersburg, and he got his access to the Baltic Sea. Yeah, very interesting. Anyway, it started with Rurik in 1862, which is 100 years after we Danes say that the Viking Age is from 793, and it lasted 250 years, so it was in the middle of this Viking thing. I actually didn't know that it was so short, the Viking Age. But anyway, I know now. Okay. You know what? I found a lot of data in the meantime. The last Viking video I made two weeks ago. And in the meantime, I've been reading up and getting a lot of data, which was actually new to me. And so for me, it's very interesting. The Vikings were actually farmers, peasants, just like in Russia. And they did all the different things that they did those days. They were having animals, and they were growing food, and they were weaving and making their pots and all these things. And they were trading. The trading, actually, they went, first they traded with other villages, and then they went further and further and further. And that started in 1700 BC, that is 2,700 years ago. And then as they could go further and further, and they learned more about other cultures, and they saw, for example, in the south, they went all the way down to Rome, they saw all these fantastic things, and you know, whatever. And they started raiding, like, you know, going out and killing people and robbing them and so on. We say it started in 793 because that is when the Danes went to England and plundered and robbed a monastery, 793, and killed all the monks and robbed all the gold and silver and whatever they could carry along that was valuable. So, and the Danes mainly went to England, Scotland, and Normandy. And the Norwegians went to they went to the big ocean. They went to the Shetland Islands, Faroe Island, Iceland, Greenland, and North America. And it was an age of brutality. Like, I mean, when I read about it, I think it was incredibly brutal. They cut off heads, and, you know, it was more like the terrorists today that we read about. In Syria, you know, the ISIS and so on. So, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. There is so much to tell. I could go on for hours. There might be more coming, more videos, but I don't know. I haven't decided about that yet. Okay. Bye-bye.